Hey everybody, it's Todd Dills here with this week's edition of the Overdrive Radio podcast, featuring more from my talk with Black Sheep Express 3-truck owner-operator Sam Kelly, headquartered in Mississippi and Overdrive's April Trucker of the Month, putting him in the running as a semi-finalist for our Trucker of the Year award for 2026. If you or your small fleet, up to 3 trucks, has excelled through the rough years since the big fuel run-up and rate shock of 2022, if you've persevered through all of that turmoil and this year's with war in Iran, you're no doubt a worthy contender. Get your business in the running at overdriveonline.com/toptrucker. That's overdriveonline.com/toptrucker. Here we go. Here's wishing everyone in the audience Memorial Day, honoring the fallen for the freedoms we enjoy here in the United States. For this week's podcast, as noted, a different sort of honor for one Sam Kelly, owner of 3-truck Black Sheep Express out of Mississippi and leased to CST Lines of Wisconsin in his refrigerated operation. Kelly and his 2 drivers, Bubba Rushing and Rodriguez Byrd, pull a dedicated load outbound from Wisconsin to California. And in the self-dispatch program at CST there, Kelly otherwise negotiates and books broker freight on his own, often with triangles on the return with the Southeast and or Washington State as the midpoint, depending on the season. Kelly separates himself from the crowd in myriad ways, and perhaps not least in his willingness to be the problem solver, to take matters into his own hands when plans break down. It's something past associates at fleets he's been leased to all told me when I reported the story that announced his April Trucker of the Month nod. You'll find that story in a link I'll post in the show notes for this podcast, wherever you're listening, or in the Trucker of the Year section of overdriveonline.com. But know that Kelly's story is remarkable in plenty other ways too, particularly with respect to a clear instinct to learn from his own errors in business and in life, adjust accordingly, and come out on the other side no less eager to excel through the hard times. His drive toward business ownership in his early days trucking was such that he took a 40-some cents a mile company driver job and basically lived in the truck to turn it all into a nest egg for a cash payment for his first power unit. That was a bit of a disaster, that truck, by his account, yet he persisted. When it came time to buy a house, too, he kept his long-term growth goals in focus. Frugality, in essence, would be his watchword.
When you go get ready to buy a house and they see your tax returns, they'll tell you, hey, you can buy this much house. No, you can't, because there's going to be a thing that's going to be called hard times. For the house they approved me up to, I bought a third of it. And because of that, when things got really tough on us in 23, 24, I never missed a mortgage payment. You can't afford what you think you can afford. I guess it's the best option. You got to keep it to a bare minimum.
As in personal finances, as in business, too, for the owner-operator who's learned other lessons from those hard times, as we'll hear today in the podcast. After the break, we dive in with Sam Kelly and Black Sheep Express with 2 stories of growth, one of abject failure, the other work in progress, but with a no doubt solid foundation. Keep tuned.
Out here, every mile matters, so make every mile count. Diesel fuel is the lifeblood of your engine, and the cleaner it is, the better your truck performs. That's why there's Howe's Diesel Defender. It removes water, boosts lubricity, and cleans your fuel system, helping you burn fuel more efficiently and get more power from every drop. Use it at every fill-up for better performance and cleaner fuel. When you're counting miles, count on Diesel Defender from Howe's. Find Howe's at retailers nationwide. Visit howesproducts.com for more information.
You can find more information about Overdrive Radio sponsor Howe's at HOWES, howesproducts.com, with a full line of fuel treatments. Now, here's Sam Kelly speaking from sunny California under a multiple pick and single drop load in April, about to depart for South Carolina.
Okay. No, I reset it with that dedicated load I told you that we do. I loaded on Tuesdays in Wisconsin, then I rushed down here this one I actually loaded on Thursday, and I rushed down here, got down here Saturday afternoon, reset by Monday morning before my delivery. Then I had a load with multiple pick going on yesterday, so I got a majority of those on. I got one more I got to do today, and then on my way to South Carolina.
Okay.
It's a bunch of meat going to one place.
Okay.
It's all kind of meat. It's when I come to California, for the most part, it's a broker load back out. Sometimes there's a few brokers that I work with that will get me back across, on a regular deal. But if their lines don't match up with my lines, and I'm not gonna sit around and wait a day either. So there you go.
Sam Kelly and his 2 drivers' bread and butter dedicated run for CST Lines out of Wisconsin to California wasn't always a solo driver endeavor with a reset on the turn. Kelly brought on a team driver for it in his early days leased the company.
We did that when I had just one truck. We were teaming because I had that dedicated load, and there was no way with the hours that you could get back to California and then get back across by yourself, right?
Yeah.
So I called one of my buddies up. He was actually looking for a job, and I was like, hey, we can do this, load from Wisconsin to California, and then we can load in California, and we can get back. And I said, it won't be tough teaming, but it will be teaming, and me and you both can make a little decent money doing this, and then, we'll do it for a couple of months, and then hopefully we can get you another truck. And that way, if there's 2 of us, one of us can do it one week, and the other one's coming across when the other one's doing it back across, and they can grab it the next week. So we was able to work it like that, and we worked it like that for about 6 months, and then we went and got a 3rd truck. And the problem was with just 2 of us doing it, we had to short run the other truck to make sure that truck landed in Green Bay the following week. So now with 3 of them, there's already somebody in the middle, so we don't have to short run the truck that's in California to make sure he can get to Green Bay the following week. It's been working out good now.
Why Black Sheep Express, Sam?
Black sheep of the family.
Okay.
Everybody, my family is doctors, lawyers. Granddaddy was a mayor. No truck drivers.
Okay.
So therefore, by me being the truck driver, that makes me the black sheep of the family a little bit. Everybody's, big lawyers and doctors and nurse practitioners and all that. So that's where that comes from.
How long have you been using that name?
We got 6 years now. When I was 18, I went to work for a man named Wade Hammonds. After I didn't graduate school, but I was done with school. So I went to work for Wade Hammonds, and I worked for Wade Hammonds for at least 11, 12 years. I can't exactly give you the exact years for sure. It's been so long ago, but I worked there from 18 pretty much all till the time I became a truck driver. Well, Wade, for working there that long, Wade took care of me. He was an auto shop. He was a diesel mechanic, but not like semi-truck diesels, but like, Power Stroke, Duramax, and Cummins. And I wasn't a mechanic. I was more of a go grab the parts guy starting off, and then became the service guy, then became kind of like his shop manager. Not his mechanic manager, but like, the service advisor. And that actually came to a downturn. I couldn't find a job that paid me what Wade paid me. So my bills weren't lining up for, what I was getting, what I could find a job doing. Wade took very good care of me. So then it got to the point, well, hey, I can't afford this place that I'm renting anymore, so I'm going to have to get out of it. I can't afford, to live with these $12, $13 an hour jobs that I'm getting offered, because I ended up getting a job as a service manager at an oil change place, but it was $13 an hour, and you can't pay rent with that. So I decided to become a truck driver, because truck driver that's going to be my house for right now until I figure this out. And that's going to be my transportation to work. I don't have to worry about buying gas to drive to work. And that's how it happened. It wasn't something that I thought was going to be a permanent life thing. It kind of turned into it. Yeah, I started off at CRST. I ended up going to their school, and I was with the trainer for about 4 or 5 months. And I was actually on the truck longer with that trainer than I was supposed to. Great guy. We're still friends to this day. And I was actually on his truck longer than I should be. And when they finally took me off the truck with the trainer, they put me with the team member, and with one of their workers, not nobody I knew. And the checks kind of dwindled down a little bit. So that didn't work out too well, because I did great when I was with my trainer. Everybody says at first you don't make no money. Well, I kind of argue on that because at first I did make money with my trainer, not
Okay.
what I would expect today, but for starting out, yes. You know,
Right.
so then we had a different dispatcher, and it was kind of some weeks be okay, some weeks wouldn't be okay. Well, then I found a job with a company back home in Mississippi, and they had nice trucks and this, that, and the other. But and I stayed there for about a good 4 or 5 months. One of my older buddies that had been driving for a while, though, he told me, he said, "Sam, don't let that pretty truck determine how much you get paid." And so then the company that I bought my first truck at, I went there and I worked there for about 5 years almost. I believe 4.5, and that's where I ended up buying my first truck there after I was only there for about 6 months. The whole time from 2019 to till 21 November, I pretty much lived in the truck and saved up enough money to buy my truck cash. It was a 2018 International Pro Star, and it was kind of, I don't know if you remember, but the price of equipment wasn't, the best price for equipment. I'm still new and I'm still learning. If I would have knew to hold on, I would have held on for a second. But the price of that 2018 and 2021 International was $80,000. It only had 300,000 miles on it. I thought it was going to be good to go, but I was sadly mistaken. The DPF was never ending. It was you fix one thing, then the next week it was something else. You fix one thing, and I had warranty on it, true enough, but the downtime, and insurance and, other payments don't stop, and trailer rental, those payments don't stop with downtime.
And you were leased with U.S. Freight Lines by then. Once you finally when you bought that. Now, were they doing reefer work like you're doing now? Or?
Yeah, they were doing reefer.
How long did you have the Pro Star?
Through May 23, I traded in for another International because they were the same International I bought it from because they would give me the most money for the trade, and I got so tired of dealing with the truck. I traded it in for a 22 International LT, but it only had like 80,000 miles in on it. And International came up with a thing that you could buy a 2-year extended factory warranty after the original factory warranty went out. And if being honest, that factory, now I bought that 23, that truck now sits with like 650,000 miles on it, and the warranty just went out because of time 2 months ago. So it's actually just sitting down as a backup truck. Instead of getting the truck through Penske, we actually, I know I sent you a picture of the trucks that white Western Star was recently bought when I sent you the pictures of it. We parked that red truck because it's just got those miles on it. I'm scared of it. I got a third-party warranty on it, but you never know how that's going to work out. Truck's had a lot of issues with it. Thank God it was under warranty, but it's kind of a scary thought.
Sam Kelly is currently hauling solo in a 2023 Kenworth W900 he bought after those years teaming in the LT.
Me and my buddy, we teamed in the red truck, the International LT I was telling you about. Then I bought that Lone Star, that International Lone Star I showed you a picture of.
A 2023 model, which trucker Rodriguez Byrd pilots, with Bubba rushing in the 2022 Western Star. Both men joining the operation in fairly recent history, just last year. It's a reboot of multi-truck business Kelly tried previously to an extent, leased to U.S. Freight Lines then, headquartered outside Chicago there. That first bid for growth well illustrates the owner-operator's dedicated ability to adapt and learn in the school of hard knocks, nonetheless.
Right before everything just bottomed out on us in that 22, I was doing good, and that's where I made a lot of misconceptions on. I was thinking everybody was going to drive like me. I was sadly mistaken. I went and I got brand new Freightliners. The blessing was that they were leased trucks. The price on the monthly notes on them wasn't that bad at all, but they were leased trucks. They weren't finance trucks. I leased them from Freightliner in Salt Lake City, Utah. Nice trucks. But right as soon as I did that, the bottom just fell out. And it was probably like maybe about a month or two later when that happened. And it just got to the point to where, hey, Sam, I think that worked for probably about 8-9 months, maybe a little bit of a year almost. I can't exactly remember, but I'll never remember just saying, hey, this is not working because you're paying for a truck 1 month out of your money. I know there's going to be hard times, but you shouldn't have hard times every single month. And I'm partially to blame for that because I shouldn't have went out and got those brand new trucks for what, I mean, the notes weren't that bad, but at the end of the day, we're still talking about brand new notes on $180,000 trucks and bad times. So you kind of, I'm not saying you should go out there and buy used junk, but if you're starting out, maybe find something a little used with 100,000, 200,000 miles max, something that's going to last you, something you can enjoy before you have to put money into it.
What did you do? How did you remedy that situation?
I got from out the leases. I had to pay a little money for it. They gave me a little time to pay for it. Of course, they weren't like we need it today. They gave me a little time, and I stayed with U.S. Freight Lines. I actually stayed with them a bit after the fact. I actually owed them a little money because they were, of course, trying to help me, right? So I ended up, but when I paid that money off, I was, kind of still upset about everything, of course, because I lost tremendously. I lost a lot. So I moved over to CST probably about maybe 6 months or so after that happened. And because it took me about 6 months to pay U.S. Freight Lines back. And I moved over to CST, and I think it was the right move. I definitely think it was the right move. But the owner, he's definitely a great guy. He doesn't cheat us out of any money. He doesn't charge us any crazy insurance fees. For the most part, he pays the normal percentage that everybody else pays, the 87, 90%, whatever. And we're not responsible for any kind of cargo or general liability insurance. Everybody's like, you should get your own authority, right? And I'm like, well, if you add up what insurance is going to cost me, you just got to think about the grand scheme of it, right? And then I'm going to have to factor it first, so there's 3% there. So now we're down to 97%, right? Well, then the insurance for a new venture is going to be, I'm estimating $2,000 per truck
every month.
So that's, So, I mean, technically, he's making an extra $1,000, maybe $1,500 a month than I would make for myself. But there's another thing. His fuel cards get a way bigger discount than mine do. And we're not talking 30, 40 cents a gallon. That's what I can get, 50 cents. He's 90 cents, $1.80 a gallon. Some places $1.20. Count the pros with the cons, right?
How did you find that company?
Facebook.
The random chance?
Well, I called on them one time because I saw the deal. Because I'm thinking, like you said, the normal deductions, all the cargo, the liability, and all that. And I'm seeing that on the advertisement. It says 87% with your own trailer, no cargo, no insurance deductions. And I'm like, okay. And so I called and I talked to a lady at first. She didn't really give me a good rundown. Then I called probably about 3 months later, again, just to see if I heard everything right. And then there was a gentleman that answered the phone named John. And when John gave me the rundown, there's other little things he does to help us out too, right? He told me about those little extra things. And I was like, okay, I'll be there in a couple of weeks. Let me put in my notice here. And it's worked out pretty well since.
Kelly's running with his own reefer trailers leased to CST Lines. 2019 and 2020 model trailers with air disc brakes and brand new reefer units purchased from the stock of Pedigree Truck and Trailer Sales, from the used stock of Prime Inc. Even with those brand new reefer units in, then they go for 50 to 60% of the cost of a new trailer, Kelly estimated. With the growth this time around, he's doubled down on small business principles with a close focus on cost containment, hoping to minimize maintenance outlays and other equipment expenditures to truly let his problem-solving instincts shine. Spare truck at the ready, 2 capable operators in addition to himself to supplement needs for the Wisconsin outbound dedicated run and elsewhere. He's doubling down, too, on small biz money management principles.
Your business money is never your personal money. Once you can get past that thing, I think you're in a big step. If you're running a trucking company, like small guys like me, everybody has this thing, well, it costs me this much per mile to run. That's something, I understand, but I look for an exact amount of what my drivers pay, what's my fuel going to be on that load, and then how much is my equipment per day per insurance. And insurance, because I do have physical damage insurance, and what's that trailer note? You got to make sure that's equated into that rate.
the true cost to haul the load, as Overdrive's own contributing coach and former owner-operator Gary Bucks has emphasized routinely, including driver pay. For the one-truck independents among you, that's your own daily or weekly salary expectations considered on the cost side of the ledger. That's why we included a field for salary per day for cost inputs in Overdrive's Load Profit Analyzer calculator tool you can use yourself at overdriveonline.com/load-analyzer.
And then for me, for the most part, after paying the driver and all those other rates, the fuel, paying the driver, what's it cost me each day for that truck and that trailer to be running that load, I try to make to where I see at least $300 to $400 a day after paying the driver, bare minimum. And then I also, for each truck at the end of the week, I try to take, $500 to $600 back and shove that back into a maintenance account. My house bills are very bare minimum. When you go get ready to buy a house and they see your tax returns, they'll tell you, hey, you can buy this much house. No, you can't, because there's going to be a thing that's going to be called hard times. For the house they approved me up to, I bought a third of it. And because of that, when things got really tough on us in 23, 24, I never missed a mortgage payment. You can't afford what you think you can afford. I guess it's the best option. You got to keep it to a bare minimum.
You think about your costs and kind of the accounting for all that's coming in, revenue coming in, costs going out on a per day basis and per truck, right? More so than miles. Do you pay your drivers on a per day basis, or are you paying them miles?
They get paid on mileage. I'll
Okay.
go straightforward. I pay them 65 cents a mile.
Okay.
That's fair. And I load them down with miles.
Sure.
I'm not really into the short haul thing, and I'll get to that in a second. Because I'll tell you,
Okay.
my people say running short hauls are good because they pay more per mile, but there's a very negative to that. And I do it all. I book the loads, I pay the guys, and I still drive. So my days are pretty fun, right? And now if you get to the short haul situations, everybody says, why don't you run short hauls? Because you get more rate per mile and this, that, and the other. Okay, well, that's fine. But what happens when the broker schedule, when you get that, they told your appointment's at 9 a.m., but it was really at 7 a.m., or you have a little hiccup along the way and you were stretching to make that day run to make it work, or you get held up at a receiver for, X amount of hours, and now you done lost a day. Or if you have to, if something happens and you have to reschedule that load, well, you might hold that load for 3-4 days. How much was that short run worth? Those short runs can come back and backfire on you. I'll give you a prime example. This Kenworth, when I bought it, I guess they didn't bake the filters before they gave it to me. The truck only had 170,000 miles on it. The first week I had it, I was coming up. I went home for some reason. I can't remember why. I just went back home, but I went home and I came back out about 2-3 days later. And I come up out of the house, check engine light comes on. I call Kentworth. They say it's a DPF code. You need to get somewhere because they can tap into the trucks, from their computers. And I said, okay. Got the truck fixed. Took about a day and a half to get the truck fixed. The broker told me I was holding that load for a week because they had to reschedule my delivery.
That should have taken you just less than a day to get it to where it's going. Yeah.
They tied my truck up for 7 days for $1,500. Risky. It's rolling the dice. It's rolling the dice. And I've learned my lessons about rolling the dice. And then I kind of, and then where you run the truck matters. I'm pretty big on what I do, because I have that dedicated lane out of there. It's decent to come to California because especially during the season, nobody wants to pay you to come out here during the season. So right now, because Washington's not in season right now, we'll run across to the country, South Carolina, Tennessee, then take another 2-day back up and land back in Wisconsin, right? Do our 34, pick it up again the following week and do it all over. When Washington comes into season, we'll probably switch it up a little bit. Instead of doing the 34s, we'll rush down here, deliver on the fourth morning, and then we'll go up to Washington. And then we'll probably 34 over the weekend in Washington and come back across. So I'm actually kind of a seasonal runner. I stay with the dedicated load, but depending on where the other places in season that's where I'm going to go to from California.
When is it? When do you shift it up to go up to Washington? Once you have late summer harvest, early fall kind of thing?
Yeah, probably about school season, August, September. We'll shift up and go to Washington. I got a lot of people out of Washington. I've been doing Washington for many of years, and the fun part about it is U.S. Freight Lines let me book my own loads, and that was a privilege. Yeah. So, and that's all they taught me about Washington. That's all they want to do. December, January, February. If you work at U.S. Freight Lines, you're going through Montana and Oregon, and you're gonna like it. And so they taught me that area up there, and luckily I was been booking loads up there for 4 or 5 years now. You know, so I was able to. Yeah, I got a good few ways out of Washington for sure. And there's a lady, she runs down to Mississippi all the time. She's been doing that same load for 4 years. She loves me to death, and I love her to death, and she takes good care of me when I get up there.
With CST, are you on there? They talk about their self-dispatch program. And that's basically what you're doing in combination with that one dedicated outbound from Wisconsin.
Yes, sir. The owner, he's strictly by the rules. You know, you're not doing nothing out of the pocket. You know, and it kind of, I know you hear it all when they talk about the Sean Duffy, the guys that are out here doing it the right way and not the wrong way. We're definitely doing it the right way here. And it's kind of like, yeah, they got to do it the right way, not the wrong way, because we're having to do it the right way. I'm pretty careful about how I book the loads, and I try to make, I mean, sometimes they're tight, but I know they're doable, right?
Yeah.
But for the most part, if something was to ever come up, you're not expected to do it because you'll get in trouble if you do it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like if you can't make your delivery because for some odd reason, you know, you don't have the hours, they're not going to tell you to go. They're going to call and reschedule.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's that. You know, no pressure on you there, and it keeps you in good health. You know, and then the grand scheme of it is, you know, if something was to come up and somebody hits you and you didn't violate your hours, they're not going to say, well, if you would have violated your hours, you would have never been there. So, you know, it keeps you honest in that part, you know.
Owner-operator Sam Kelly's Black Sheep Express, leased to CST Lines out of Wisconsin. Kelly and his drivers, Bubba Rushing and Rodriguez Byrd, all calling the great state of Mississippi home. Kelly's Overdrive's Trucker of the Month for April, and know that you can get your own 1 to 3 truck business in the running for Trucker of the Year honors at overdriveonline.com/toptrucker. Let me say, it's an honor to meet every single one of our contenders annually. And a big thanks for entrusting Overdrive with your story. Again, the initial entry form for the 2026 Trucker of the Year competition you'll find at overdriveonline.com/toptrucker. We're taking entries throughout the year. Expect much more news from owner-operator Sam Kelly, I'd wager. So he told me, quote, "We're not going to stay at 3 trucks forever." Read the full story in the feature published late last month about the business, including no shortage of praise for Kelly for various business partners throughout his story. It's called, simply, Problem Solver, an apt description of the man behind Black Sheep Express, no doubt. I'll post a link to that story in the show notes wherever you're listening. Overdrive Radio is on Spotify and SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube, Overdrive's Facebook page, and any listening platform, really. Leave us a review there if you're enjoying these, and big thanks in advance for that. Big thanks to you, as always, for listening. Overdrive Radio is a production of Overdrive, the voice of the American trucker. It's edited and produced by me, Todd Dills, with the acoustic guitar and other support of trucker songwriter Long Haul Paul Marhofer. The theme is Legend of the Snake Man by Marhofer, featuring the guitar work of Travis, the Snake Man himself, Wamick. Terry Tussock's Richardson on bass, keys by Tisha Mingo, Jim Whitehead, on drums, Andrew Marshall. The podcast is backed up further by Overdrive's own social media coordinator, Jasmine Campbell, senior editor, Matt Cole, executive editor, Alex Lockie, video editors, Lawson Rudisell and Andrew Glenn. See you next week.